not too big. In fact, it's kind of small. People there, they know they got it all. It's the simple life for me. Helion to Hawaii, Helion USA, Wailua River Valley, where I used to play. The canyons of Waimea, standing all alone. The magic of the garden it's calling me back home. So Helion to Kauai, HeliUSA.
Our tours depart the spectacular north shore of Kauai from the private airport at the Princeville Resort. You are immediately immersed in the beauty of Kauai's wilderness. We soon forget our anxiety as our pilot skillfully maneuvers our craft, sharing with us his knowledge of the island. He tells us about the formidable volcanic activity that pushed Kauai through the surface of the Pacific Ocean over 4 million years ago, eruptions that have engraved the mountains and carved out its painted canyons. Traveling through Hanalei Valley, we cannot help but reflect upon the abundance of beauty that this island has been blessed with. Mount Waialeale, in the very center of the island, stands over 5,000 feet tall. The name Waialeale meaning ripples upon the water. Because it is enshrouded in clouds so often, it was esteemed by ancient Hawaiians to be the home of their gods, and with an average rainfall of over 450 inches each year, it is also esteemed today as the wettest spot on Earth. Ribbons of water plunge over 3,000 feet to the caldera's floor below, waters that cycle endlessly to the sea and back again. Entering the Hanapepe Valley, the lush primordial vegetation is living testimony that this is the Garden Island. As we fly into the valley amid the countless waterfalls, we soon see Manavayapuna, one of the island's largest falls. Our pilot tells us that this waterfall was featured in the movie Jurassic Park. Leaving the series of falls, our senses soar as we cross each ridge, not knowing what to expect, and then awed by each new vista and the beauty that unfolds. Our emotions seem to be overflowing, but there's more, much more. Here in the Olakele Canyon, the headwaters of its river begin near the Alakai Swamp in the heart of the island, waters that slowly carve the canyon floor before eventually merging with the Waimea River. As we approach the Waimea Canyon, we no sooner catch our breath before our senses are again overwhelmed as the earth seems to fall away, revealing stunning ridges. Waterfalls cascade from one pool to the next amid the ridges of the Wailai, offering a spectacular view from the comfortable seat in our helicopter. How small and insignificant we are in comparison to the grandeur of Kauai's Waimea Canyon, where visitors from around the world come to experience the beauty of this natural wonder. It was here that renowned author Mark Twain first called it the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. 10 miles long, 1.5 miles wide, and 3,600 feet deep. Earth tones of its cliffs vary throughout the day and are impressive to behold. Views that change mood and hue from day to day, from hour to hour. Fortunate and few are the visitors who glimpse the splendor of Waipo'o Falls, waters that only briefly grace these canyon walls after long wintry rains. And although this rugged terrain is seldom hiked, those who endure the hardships are treated to awesome views of magnificence, a magnificence that is enjoyed by all who see Kauai by air. As we glide through the canyon, our pilot helps us to grasp the meaning of time in relation to the development of the island. He points out the horizontal lines of the canyon walls, each representing a separate volcanic eruption and lava flow. Geologists believe this island once stood 14,000 feet tall, covering 7,000 square miles, which is roughly the size of the Big Island today, and makes it easy for us to understand why they believe it took 4 million years to form. Nestled in this Mauka region of the island is the Kokee State Park, a 4,300-acre preserve. Here, one can be refreshed and informed at the Kokee Lodge and Museum, rent rustic cabins, and roam the deep green forest through a network of trails that will take you to majestic views. And at the end of the road, one will be treated to a breathtaking view of the Kalalau Valley and the blue Pacific beyond. As we cross Kokee, we are unaware of what we're about to experience. In an instant, the panorama of the famed Napali coast comes into view. The entire stretch of this inaccessible coastline unfolds before us, where millions of years of wind and rain have deeply etched this land whose volcanic peaks stand like silent sentinels, guarding Napali. As we descend into the valley of Nualoloaina, our pilot tells us the stories of ancient inhabitants of the valley, painting pictures in our minds of a simple tropical way of life now lost far away in the distant past.
Ai nana ni o ka vai le mai luna vai ho o pai e ola na pali kila
Our pilot points out an area referred to as Queen's Bath, an old lava tube where molten rock once emerged to shower the land, replaced now with cool waters of the Pacific. The history of this valley draws curious interest as historians are unable to tell the story of its final inhabitants, a tribe of Polynesians who lived here in Honopu Valley for hundreds of years, a tribe that disappeared without a trace. The only inhabitants today are scissored-tailed tropicals that share the heavens with us, and feral goats that scamper about on these vertical walls, a way of life that at first seems impossible. But having seen it as birds do, we ourselves are witness to the sure-footedness of these feral mountain goats. As we leave Honopu, we approach Kalalau, another valley steeped in history. This land, the Kalalau Valley, now a state park, only 100 years ago it was called home by over 5,000 Polynesians. It was then that a man named Ko'olau came here to seek refuge, a wanted man, not because of any wrong that he had done, but because he had leprosy. He had been sentenced to live in a leper colony on the island of Molokai, away from his wife. But Ko'olau chose to escape and take his wife into this valley, where they live peacefully for the rest of their lives. The Kalalau Trail once traversed the entire length of this rugged coast, but today, this 11.2-mile trail ends at Kalalau Beach. Exploring other trails into the valley's interior rewards the hiker with beautiful views, as well as refreshing pools that are fed by cool mountain streams. These remote valleys, that long ago provided safety for its inhabitants, are today accessible only to the most adventurous hikers. It is no wonder that many view Nepali as an escape from civilization, or even from time itself. Majestic cliffs, waterfalls, one after another, lush valleys, beauty beyond words. As we pass Hanakapiai Valley, we learn about a hiking trail that travels far into the valley, ending at the base of another majestic waterfall, a trip that most can make easily in just one day. Here at Ke'e Beach, you'll find the beginning of the Kalalau Trail, a popular beach park, and an ancient hula heiau known as Laka's Platform. It has been told that around 600 years ago, a Hawaiian princess named Laka originated and first performed the dance that is today known as the hula, and it was done on this site. And she, later, after her death, came to be revered as the goddess of the hula. Today, modern hula groups likewise dance here to the sounds of the pounding surf. The past meets the present here on Kauai's famous North Shore, home to many celebrities. It's a place of unique beauty. Lumahai Beach lies before us now, made famous in the movie South Pacific. Crescent-shaped Hanalei Bay, its dreamy pace, is illustrated by its natural beauty. Spectacular mountain ranges, lush green valleys, and breathtaking waterfalls are a trademark of Kauai. An aerial tour of this, the most beautiful island in the world, is one that touches a chord in the heart of everyone who experiences it. Memories so vivid, they will never be forgotten. Welcome from HeliUSA Airways. You are about to enjoy one of the beautiful experiences of life, a flight over the world's most enchanting island. Before the magic, before the journey begins, we want to give you a preview of this incredible adventure. The islands were born in fire. Some 130 million years ago, as dinosaurs wandered across Europe and the Americas, the first of these Hawaiian islands broke from the surface of the sea. Over the eons, plants and animals floated over the sea, and washed up on Hawaii's new beaches. Lichen, ferns, and many other plants arrived with the first birds. All found Spartan sustenance on the vast wasteland of lava. And yet life took hold. Fertile plankton, adrift in the western Pacific currents, colonized the island's underwater shelves, feeding a wealth of sea life, whose descendants can be found today in the waters around our islands. The volcanic mountains reached up into the clouds, capturing moist trade winds, cooling and condensing that moisture into rain, and showering down life-giving water over the islands and the beauty that is today Hawaii. All that remained was for humankind to discover paradise. 1,000 years before Columbus, people on islands near New Zealand and Tahiti watched a tiny golden bird, the plover, fly away to the north every spring. Where did the bird go? There must be other lands beyond that horizon. As wonder became legend, and legend became conviction, a small group of islanders set sail in outrigger canoes to follow the bird they call Kalea. And at night, a great red star near the Big Dipper, steadfast in the northern sky, marked the same direction. That light rises every night over the island we call Kauai. Risking death, these mariners paddled their great canoes some 2,000 miles to the north to find a Garden of Eden, so beautiful it seemed a gift from God. They called their new land Hawaii, and they soon discovered there were no pests on the island, not even fleas or mosquitoes or flies, and there was no disease. One of the Earth's most common forms of life, the reptile, was nowhere to be found. But there was great beauty, an unbelievable variety of life forms, and amazing color. There were some 2,000 plants, birds and animals, never before known to man. Here, the brave explorers made a new home. Today, unlike most other visitors to our Hawaii, you will see this paradise as the first Hawaiians saw it over 1,000 years ago. From the air, you will see that the first Hawaiians made changes in the land they discovered, for they brought with them coconuts, banana, breadfruit, and the taro plant from which poi is made. In their frail catamarans, they brought other treasures, like vakea sprouts, from which they made a paper called tapa, and the small lily called tea, with roots and leaves that are still made into hula skirts today. Hawaii's first people were superstitious, and little wonder, the land they came to was born in nature's fury, and they were born of a Stone Age society, a way of life completely controlled by kings, queens, and a few nobles called ali'i. They were governed by a strange set of laws called kapu. For a commoner who broke a kapu, the sentence was usually death, and the only escape was to the sacred sanctuary which is today called Pu'uhonua, the city of refuge. flight today, we will avoid the cities and head for the countryside to see the wonders of nature that have made the Hawaiian Islands among the most popular destinations on Earth. We'll fly by Princeville and busy farmlands, past Hanalei Bay, with the lush tropical jungles that are teeming with wild boar and feral mountain goats. We'll fly past Mount Waialeale, all that is left of a once great volcano on Kauai, deluged now by more than 600 inches of rain a year, making it the wettest spot on Earth, forming the Alakai Swamp, which is the source of 7 rivers that ripple and cascade their cargoes of churning fresh water over the land and back to the sea. Below, you'll look over legendary rivers and incredible waterfalls from the vantage point of the Kalea bird itself, swooping through the 14-mile-long Waimea Canyon. It is the Grand Canyon of our Pacific, and then out over the cliffs of the Napali coast, truly one of the most spectacular places on our Earth. The sun is coming up over the Valley Isle, Maui, the land of wonders topped by Haleakala volcano. It's 3,000 feet deep and some 21 miles around and big enough to hold the island of Manhattan. Like many visitors, Mark Twain once saw the sunrise here and remembered it later on as the sublimest spectacle I ever witnessed. Here in East Maui, you can glimpse the famous Hana Highway, winding through lush forests of exotic trees past coastal villages and taro patches that have existed for centuries. Back in the heydays of whaling, Lahaina was the port of call to thousands of sailing ships. Today, this colorful historic village is alive with visitors enjoying a whale industry of a different sort along this western shore. Molokai, the Friendly Isle, is really an island of mystery. Once so separate and forlorn that its Kalapapa Peninsula was chosen as the site for the island's leper colony. Here, we pass some of nature's grandest creations, the highest sea cliffs in our world. Then, on the Big Island, you'll discover Hawaii's Volcanoes National Park that awes thousands of visitors each year with its majestic grandeur of active volcanoes. The Big Island of Hawaii spans rainforest on one side to deserts on the other. Then, along the Hamakua coast, we'll see Waipio Valley, the birthplace of King Kamehameha that's still terraced in taro fields. And on the island, there is also a memorable bay where Captain Cook sailed in, stayed a while, and then never sailed out again. Ladies and gentlemen, your flight today will take you back in time 1,000 years, back to the hidden valleys where our first Hawaiians lived and where today the remains of their ancient temples and villages survive. The most isolated place on Earth, thousands of miles from any mainland, Hawaii has become a world unto itself, with an incredible array of natural wonders and the proud descendants of a remarkable Polynesian people. We too are proud to have you aboard an unforgettable flight to witness firsthand the splendor of the world's most magnificent island.